What's good, everybody? Happy Sunday. I know we pushed everything back a little bit, but welcome to Sooner or Later Sports Show. I am your host, Jay. Thank y'all for pulling up here on the YouTube channel and listening to us wherever podcasts are downloaded and listened to. We appreciate all the love and support. We got a lot of stuff to talk about and a lot of stuff to celebrate because why? We had some good stuff happen over the last few days, right? We had a commitment that just popped up. We had some guys drafted to the NFL draft. So, of course, you know who's going to be here with me. It's going to be me and Coop. We got some stuff to talk about. Coop, happy Sunday, man. What's going on?
What is going on? Yeah, no, this was a good sports week. Thunder continued to roll too. So, yeah, there's a lot to be happy about right now.
Yep, Monday night, it looks like the Thunder's going to pull off a sweep, most likely. So we'll cross our fingers and toes on that one. So if you are a Hoop fan, I'm eventually going to get my my NBA podcast going. You know, I'll start working on that. Bring back the original Unfair Sports show, basically. You know, bring back all of that and expand it to all the big stuff and the big headlines. So we got a lot to talk about today, right? As y'all saw when I posted in here, we've got hold a second. I'm about to kick PG out of here. Where is he at? Let me kick him out of the show.
Yeah.
Because the last thing I will ever accept is someone thinking that they're better than me at Mario Kart. Like that level of disrespect will not be tolerated in my chat room. So don't ever do that or whatnot. So, Steven, thank you for that. Pointing that out. Yes.
Yeah.
Prayers up for everybody that was impacted by the storms. There were a lot of them. And Sulphur was hit hard. I know western part of Norman was hit. So prayers up. Hopefully the recruits understand that, Mother Nature happens here every so often. And unfortunately, we have to deal with it. And so hope they're good and safe and calm while at the same time. Yeah. And Sheila, you're 100% right. Sharing is caring. So all of that. But yeah, say a prayer for them. Give them some of your love and attention or whatnot. But we got a lot to talk about. First and foremost, we had a commitment. And yeah, PG, don't ever disrespect me when it comes to talking about Mario Kart like that ever again. We don't tolerate that type of ridiculousness here. And we'll dive into commitment that just popped up. Cortland Guillory, huge pickup for the Sooners as we beat out the competition. Our boys, Texas, was really wanting the kid. We beat them out for him. And then, of course, we've got the players that got drafted. We had 3 guys drafted. Coop, let's start off with the draft. I think the draft will probably be the best conversation starter. We'll go into Cortland and his commitment, and we'll talk about a couple of the players that we're looking at. One that everybody wants to keep talking about, and unfortunately, I hate talking about him because it's not Wednesday. If it was Wednesday, I would gladly talk about him, but it ain't Wednesday, so I don't like talking about him. So let's talk about that. NFL draft. Tyler Guyton. Yeah. Number 1, first round draft pick, baby. He gets picked at 29th by the Cowboys. So he stays close to the crib because he's from Texas, if I'm correct. I know he played at TCU. He's from Texas, stays close to the crib. That's huge. And of course, he can drive up to Norman all the time and do recruiting events. And he'll be at Red River if they're not on a road game. How'd you feel about that, man?
That was great because whenever we have the local kids that we want to see go to teams, you start when it's offensive line. That there's a lot of coaches in the NFL right now who are super enamored with any Bill Bedenbaugh product. And so, Guyton was one that we thought that he might slide himself further and further up the draft. And but he stuck it out. He's just got so much raw athletic talent. Cowboys are in need of offensive line help, so it's a good go because again you can kind of watch him. There's a lot of people who felt.
It's a nice freeze up by Coop mid-sentence.
Myself.
Yep, mid-sentence we lost Coop. That's always fun, right? He'll be back in just a minute, I promise. But there he is. Speak of the Coop.
Hey, sorry about that. Yeah.
That's kind of weird, right? I know you're breaking in a new computer, right?
No, something's going on with my computer. It's wonky, but yeah, it's good. Bill Bedenbaugh getting another person in, and seeing a couple of the free agent pickups. A couple more of his guys were put on teams that once again with the some of the offensive line, enamoring that people have for Bill Bedenbaugh is great. So don't ever forget that, because people do believe that his products are going to show up and ready to go.
Yeah, exactly. That's the best part about having a guy named Bill Bedenbaugh who does a really good job of not only recruiting, but also a really good job of developing talent, right? I mean, Guyton, one of my first videos that I made, if you watch the video when I talked about him as a first rounder, put a link in there. One of the first videos I made really for this channel and doing OU content. And yeah, I thought that he had potential to be a first rounder or potential to do something special at that point. Then I had a thought that he was going to be potential first rounder once the season started, because that's kind of basically where he's at, right? He's in a position where, one, he's need, but like you said, he's very athletic and it looks like it. Kid special. So you got him. Walter Rouse also gets drafted, which is huge. Goes to the Vikings. What's that, 6th round? And I think the shocking thing with him is that, I mean, as smart of a guy as he is always funny to see if he'd actually end up going pro. It's kind of like the Josh Dobbs situation for me, the former quarterback for Tennessee, who's also a astrophysicist or whatever the heck he does, rocket science. He's literally a rocket scientist.
Yeah.
And you would think he'd be at NASA, and it's funny because him, I feel like Rouse's parents would be similar to the way Josh Dobbs' parents are. When Josh Dobbs' parents are shown on the television at games, especially when he was at Minnesota making that run this past season, they looked completely unimpressed with what was going on. They looked like they were like, why are you playing in the NFL? Why aren't you at NASA? And it just cracks me up every time. And so I wonder if Walter's parents are similar to that. But he goes 6th round to the Vikings, another Bill Bedenbaugh pickup. And as you mentioned, you had Andrew Raym that got picked up as a free agent signing. You can't beat that, right? And I think Raym's going to actually last because he went to the Panthers and they don't have a center. Like their entire interior's boo-boo. So there's a good chance that Raym sticks it out, even though a lot of people really felt like he should have stayed another year. If he just goes and sticks it out with the Panthers, I think he'll be fine. So then you had defensive tackles. You got Todd Bates had the opportunity to, wave his flag, toot his own little horn. He got Jonah Laulu drafted to the Colts in the 7th round. And then Isaiah Coe signed a free agency contract with them also. And so it's funny because Bates was rocking, in his video today on the Bird app, he was rocking a Laulu jersey heading out to California to go recruit some boys.
Yeah.
Pretty nice flex, right? I got a guy drafted that came to me for a year.
Yeah, that was a linebacker. Was a linebacker.
Yeah, exactly. He got walked in. He got the dude draft. So cool, man. When you look at it, our streak did get broken, unfortunately, of 4 players getting drafted per draft, and there's reasons. We'll talk about that in a moment. But how'd you feel about the players that ended up getting picked up?
Well, again, you got Drake Stoops also went to the Rams. McCabe Matire went to the Chiefs. So, we knew that this was going to be a little bit of an issue. Jonah Lau, he measured off the charts at the pro day, and so he balled out there and he got himself drafted. So yeah, the streak ends, but when you have Dejon Terry, Billy Bowman, Danny Stutzman, all coming back, and obviously you saw this is the guys who got drafted and got picked up on defense. These are guys who. These were the holdouts. These were the guys who decided to really, really double down and triple down with the Venables company. So they got rewarded because let's just be honest. I don't think we're talking about that, or we don't have the stickiness that maybe a Coe or a Lalau have with the Colts. Without some proper coaching. So yeah, it's okay. We got a streak. There's a lot of people don't know about streaks like that. But you look into future into next year. there's a chance that we can throw up a pretty big number in the draft next year.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. So you had these returning players of a Danny Stutzman, Bowman, Woody Washington, Dejon Terry. So honestly, that's two out of those four. There's a minimum two. Stutzman and Billy were definitely gonna get drafted, and then you probably was gonna get Woody drafted as well. So it just depends on how they felt about Dejon Terry. But I mean, that's 5 dudes right there that have been in the draft if they would have went ahead and kept forward. But since they decided to come back, which we appreciate, we now get to have the most experienced defense in the SEC. And I think that that's a much better thing for us going into next season than us being able to say we got a streak of 4 dudes getting drafted every year since like mid-2000s. But the good thing is we've got a 20-year streak right now of at least 3 dudes getting drafted that is still ongoing. Every draft, at minimum 3 dudes are getting drafted. Our predecessors down south can't say that, because it's funny. They're super excited about the fact that they had 11 dudes drafted in the draft. And I'm going to throw shade at Texas right now. You had 11 dudes that got drafted in the NFL, and you still couldn't win a playoff game.
I mean, facts are facts.
Right.
That's
Michigan had 13 drafted, and they won the Natty. So to me, what that tells me is that, the funny thing is that the fact that Texas had 11 drafted in this draft, they lost to Washington 2 years in a row in the playoffs, right? It won the playoffs, won in a bowl game. So got to throw a little shade at the competition for that. But, it's good for them. I'm glad they finally got somebody drafted, because if I'm correct, last year they had 0 people drafted.
There's been, it's been slim pickings. Yeah. Slim pickings on the University of Texas athlete front for a while, and not last year, because last year did they have Bijan, or was that 2 years ago?
Oh yeah, last year was Bijan. Was Bijan? Bijan was last year. 2 years ago.
Yeah,
2 years ago they had 0 people. 2 years ago
they got a 0 because they had Roshan. He went late.
Yeah,
too,
Roshan and Bijan. Yeah, that's true.
But regardless, I mean, it's. So we didn't keep a streak of 4 alive. We still got 20 years. We can not say that we had a 0 in there at any point, even through, some of the rough years. So, exactly. And if you look at it at this point, I mean, I've seen numbers, like I've seen somebody throw the number 16 potential draftable guys next year. So now. Yeah. I hope that we do really, really well, and I would not really dig to see 16 cats roll. But you got a lot of depth right now, and I've said it before. Is get ready to Sooner fans. You need to pay attention, because between the transfer portal and draft, we're going to start seeing a lot of guys that we don't want to see leave, because the talent is now up there.
Yep. That's the exciting part. So make sure y'all go show everybody some love and get everybody excited. Show the players some love for the fact that they all got drafted. It was funny. I like the Drake Stoops pickup to the Rams, and I say that because he's going to learn from Cooper Kupp, and it's kind of the perfect setup to the way that McVay runs things, especially on that offense. He's going to have a dude that he's going to just hit over the middle all the time. Who was that young receiver that they had on there? On that team this past season, that was
it Nakua? Paco Nakua?
Yeah. There you go, Nakua. Yeah, he add Stoops to that. That's gonna be a fun setup overall. So, yeah. Outside of that, man, we had a pretty solid week on that draft front. So make sure you hop in the comments and show the players some love on that one. But let's talk commitments real quick, as the questions are already rolling in. We've already got a question about the last-ditch effort with Williams. We've got one with who's next in the portal. Questions are coming. We're going to talk about a commitment, then we're going to talk about the portal afterwards, all right? So Cortland Guillory gave us the commitment that we all were hoping for. Cornerback out of Houston, Texas area. Spring, Texas more so, whatever they want to call it. I don't care. Houston Metroplex. Corner, 6'1" about 170, 180 pounds. We picked him up. We got it. We got that man turning his chip at the spring game, and it's funny. Did you see that video, Coop, of him that he posted about him giving his chip, turning his chip in?
Yeah,
I loved it. It was funny watching BV lose his mind. Let me see if I can pull it up so y'all can watch and enjoy as well, because it was it was pretty cool to watch him do that. I was like, I actually am gonna found it. Yay! Okay, we'll get it pulled up. I want y'all to watch just as Venables gets the chip in hand and how he kind of loses his mind towards the kid. So,
Which,
all
I mean,
right,
if you picture Brent Venables doing anything, this is what you would picture.
right. Right. And so, of course, showing his little tour and everything here in Norman, being excited about it. And then he goes in, has a chip in hand, flips it around, hands it to BV. BV looks at him, gets excited, loses his mind. That just warms my heart. I like seeing it when players turn in their chips. Valai, of course, gets excited because it's his boy.
Yeah.
Gotta show love to the family, show appreciation or whatnot. And that's the beauty of what we do here, is the fact that you see everybody, the embracing of the family and the excitement behind that. It's beautiful. So Coop, saw Cortland when you saw some of his film and stuff, man. How'd you feel about him?
Again, you continue to stack size, guys who want to attack the ball. And he's not pressing 200 like some of the guys on the team are yet, but he's willing to get up there and put his nose down. So I mean, this is you start seeing who the kind of guys that you want on your team. And so he's going to continue to rise, and this is one of those guys that you're going to look up here, and as freshman year, spring game rolls around, he's going to be another guy that's pushing people, to either get better or to get portaling, and so it just more and more stats that and more talent that continues to happen in that secondary.
Yeah, and that's the game, man. Is you want to get players that's going to make everybody get competitive and want to compete, and he's one of those. I mean, he walks in, he's a consensus and composite 4-star player. Rivals has him as a 4-star on 3. Really doesn't have him listed yet, but he is technically a 4-star in their industry rating. And he's top 400 player in the country. The good thing though is that we kept him away from Texas. And when I watched his film, he's extremely scrappy, right? Like he fights with a lot of folks on the defensive side, which is, I think that was the thing that I fell in love with the most. And watching him, I was like, okay, you are really one of those players that are, you're very competitive in that aspect. And so let me pull up his film because I think that y'all will enjoy watching him play here. And that was the thing that, like I said, it jumped out to me was just how, like, legitimately scrappy he is. He pushes up at the line. Like, so I was watching him at one of the camps, and the first thing that jumped out to me is that he was putting his hands right there on the receiver immediately. He wasn't letting him go anywhere. And I am here willing to give our guy, Jay Valai, the vouch for a raise if we're shutting down just about every corner in the SEC next season. Like, Valai's bringing in talent. I just need to see it produce. Like, my entire vouching for Emmett Jones was more so because with EJ, we had all those wide receivers that nobody knew about. And then the question was, okay, is our wide receiver room any good? Well, they went out there and they produced, right? Yep. We got to see our boy Jay Gibson show out at levels that we were shocked, right? We got Nick Anderson go out there and get 10 touchdowns, right? And everybody's like, okay, didn't know who he really was as a 3-star coming in. We had questions. So for me, and the questions I have for Valai is, now I need these corners to start shutting people down, right? Let's start giving up like very little passing yards. Let's, cause issues on the routes. Let's disrupt them. All of that. Yep. If I can get low production, I'm on the bandwagon of Valai needs another raise.
Yeah, and your reasoning's pretty sound on that because you said it. You saw the wide receiver room come out there. You saw Billy Bowman continue to take steps up. That's why we're starting to throw Hall in there too. And but yeah, Valai's had injuries in his room the past year and a half, and so right now you've got a legit 4 or 5 guys that you're comfortable with seeing out there. So now let's see each one of these guys take steps up and continue to become ballers. And whether that's a Kanai Walker, whether it's Woody in his little rover moving all over the field, Gentry has to stay healthy. Jacoby Johnson continues to make his steps up. So that room is pretty solid, and that's why you saw Josiah Wagner, finally make his decision to go ahead and head on back out west.
Yeah, and that kind of saddens me. And so we can go ahead and jump into the transfer portal stuff with that. So Josiah Wagner, as y'all saw, the young corner out of Washington, did leave and hit the portal earlier this week. And then, like, literally a couple days later, he committed to Cal, which, Cal's a very good institution, very good choice by him. Saddens me that we lost him, but I understood why, right? It's not a situation where we didn't want him. It's more of a, we ain't got nowhere to play you. And the other thing is in camp, for the uninitiated, in camp last fall, he was fighting for a starting spot. Like, he was actually battling, because Gentry was dealing with the traditional Gentry injuries. He had been dealing with shoulder problems, and Josiah was running out there instead of him, and he was cooking as a freshman. He was the dude that was stepping up as the dude. And so the question was, hey man, we may need to go ahead and start the kid, right? Gentry gets healthy. Gentry goes out there. Gentry shows out. He's playing, but then from there, Josiah was dealing with injuries, right? Little dings and little nicked up injuries or whatnot. But he played 7 games last season, but he didn't get to play as much as they would have wanted him to. And then the rest of the room is just starting to develop very good. And it's like, supposedly he just never got any, it's like he never fully recovered from the injuries he dealt with.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, again, you're walking into the season with some people were saying that don't be surprised to see Josiah walk out there as the corner opposite Woody game 1. And I mean, I think it was the week of, he had a little hammy situation happen, and I mean, the rest is history. So, but again, as you continue to stockpile talent, there's only so many guys that we had on here still from the previous regime that you wanted to wish the best, but knew that they weren't ever going to see the field here. Well, now we're dipping in. We're going to start dipping into guys that we really want to see. And but again, as the rest, everybody in the chat saying right now is, we wish Josiah the best over there in Cal, and he is going to make a name for himself, and I hope to see him, mentioned in the draft here coming up before too long.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that he'll stand out at Cal. He may actually take somebody's spot there, dude. That's how talented the kid is. We all know that he's talented. Yeah. So. No, we're not upset with him. Wish him the best. We know that, he'll do big things. And like losing Harrington as well, we understood the whole reasoning behind that. That room is getting big. Y'all saw Boganowski and Reggie Powers in the spring game. That should have told you everything you need to know about how we're starting to grow, especially in that cheetah role. Omasigo is figuring things out, and so we anticipate him to move up too. So, Coop, man, I got to say, got that competitive depth. It's looking good.
Hey, I got a little Sooner Schooner All-American Ale here tonight, so enjoying one of those for it.
Enjoy that for me or whatnot. I actually just finished my bourbon not too long ago, and we're enjoying a good time here. So, and I love this one from the bomb. Who would have thought we had this problem even 2 years ago? I 100% agree. We ask questions about depth, and to keep it in perspective, most of our depth questions really were just people that were unproven, people we did not know who they were or what they were about. Well, now we got time, and we're seeing that we know what these people are. We know what these backups are. We know what we know what a Makari Vickers and Jacoby Johnson, we know who they are. And they're showing that they're trying to get playing time. We now see what a Gentry Williams really is. We know what a Robert Spears Jennings is. just that entire defense and secondary, man, we know who they are. We know what our defensive line is, right? We know what we need more of, and we know what the guys will be good at and flourish if we gave them an opportunity. Same thing with linebackers. So I think that y'all are going to be pleasantly surprised as fans at what Oklahoma's going to look like on the defensive side, especially because Brent Venables has now had most of these guys for 3 years. Well, 2.5 years, right? This is his third spring with some of these guys. Yeah. That's some pretty big stuff there, right?
Yeah.
Who can we argue? What can we truly argue or even be mad or even have questions about when it comes to what this guy is doing? This is now the year. I'd say if there was a year I had to judge BV, it would be going into 25. I need to give Jackson Arnold 1 year just to, a buffer. But 25, no excuse. Every dude's going to be in there 4 years, and they should know what the heck they're doing. So, all right, let's go and talk about some of these portal targets. So we got Hickman. We talked about that last week. Of course, we're all excited about getting a center. The question was asked, will we get is there another target? Who are we really targeting in the portal? I'm going to be honest. We got one target. One. Well, I wouldn't say one. Let me pull that back. I lied to y'all. My apologies. Lied very instantly. We've got about 3 targets, but we got one that we really want. That's Dominic Williams, right? He's the one that we would like to get our hands on. But, reports are coming down that we are looking at a couple of other defensive linemen. Actually both the guys out of Michigan State. Yeah. I believe that we're trying to potentially have conversations with. So everybody wants to know. This is the one that Sooner Cowboy asked this question. What happened today with Williams' brother was last-ditch desperation smokescreen? I think that's a funny question. I'm going to say why it's a funny question. We don't do stuff out of desperation. Keep it a buck with you, Sooner Cowboy. We don't. We don't offer people that we don't have interest in. They don't do it as a formality. That's the one thing we've learned. And when it comes to siblings, I've seen us go after players and not go after their siblings. I've seen us go after players and siblings because we want both. I mean, one of the better examples, you got the Hawkins brothers. Now you got the Bowen brothers. We went after Gary and Hatchett and his brother, Landon. And Landon decided to go back to school because he was recovering from the knee situation. But we went after those. Went after him because we wanted them. We went after both the McCullers, Desan and Day. And unfortunately for Day, playing time wasn't happening for him because of how deep we were in the room. And he decided to go where he can get some run. He's at Louisville, which is not a bad place to be, right? So we don't just we don't do stuff just to do it, right? We go after players that we want to play, right? That's what we're going at, especially since now we're really targeting 27. We got Zane Rowe, which I haven't put a video out on that, and I'm not going to put a video out on Zane Rowe until next year because it feels weird.
He's putting video out for us. He's at another camp just pushing 5-star 25 guys around. So, I mean, if you don't know anything about him yet, this will turn out to be, if he signs in, 17 years from now, whenever his class comes up or whatever, he looks like a potential top 5 guy in the class.
He does. And that's something that I'm totally here for. Yeah. Right? I want players that's going to be able to stand out. Mm-hmm. And for Dominic, I understand why he's going through this process. As I talked about it in the video before, he never really had this type of process, right? Yeah. He was a 3-star player, and his offer list at the time wasn't the longest, right? So it wasn't that he was bad. It was just he was very much under, I guess he was more so underappreciated than anything. Yeah. And so when I went back and looked at him, go back and look at his high school, 3-star, he was 540th in the country, right? 55th player ranking at defensive line in the country, and it was more of a teams didn't really know who he was, right? TCU said we're going to go after him. Now his list wasn't bad, it just wasn't as extensive as you would have wanted, right? A lot of Pac-12 schools, USC was even one of them. Michigan State and Michigan looked at him. Colorado looked at him at the time, and he ended up winning and going to TCU. And then he went to TCU and showed out, right? Some of these underrated kids got to go out there and prove themselves, and he did. Now, everybody and mama want him. Why? Like his recruiter at the time is now at Georgia, and then Rashard Samples is at Arizona State. Actually, he's at Oregon. He just left and went to Oregon. So, Shadira was his recruiter at TCU, and Shadira's over there at Georgia now doing things on that defensive line. So, tells you that who had the right eye for him, and hence why he's at Georgia today. And so now everybody wants this man because he's really good. He proved that he's talented. Now, we played against him. We got a little film on him. Do me a favor. Y'all go watch that TCU game. Go watch that TCU game for me. Let's go look at it. That's all I got to say. Go watch TCU game. You'll see him on the field. So, Coop, what you think about Dom? What do you think our chances are at landing him?
Yeah, I mean, that my thoughts have not switched since we were sitting on Campus Corner after the spring game. I expect OU to pick him up, and I expect it to be something that, again, I think that you look at what stayed the same and what changed. His commitment, his visit list changed a couple times. There was a lot of hoopla around everything. I've got my own assessment, that I put out there a while back. So, I expect him to show up on campus as an Oklahoma Sooner, and I think it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be beautiful.
Yep. And for you, Mike, his rating, he's about 6'5", 220 right now. And that's what, as a sophomore?
Yeah.
No, it's freshman. He's 2027 class, so he's a freshman. He's a freshman, and he's 6'5", 220. That's huge. And so we all expect him to, Zane Rowe, that's Zane Rowe that we're talking about here. We expect him to grow and get bigger by the time he hits here. I'd say senior year, he could be about 240, 250 edge. And if he continues to be as athletic as he is now, man, he's guaranteed to be a 5-star based upon what we've seen him do to people in camp. So anyway, but yeah, I'm with you, Coop. I like our chances with them. I think that him and the family enjoyed their time here. We're, of course, biased. And I'm definitely biased against all those other teams that are looking at him. So at this point, I'm just hoping that we're right. I'm hoping that Dominic decides at Oklahoma where he wants to be. We can bring his family in. And then in 2027, we have his little brother come here, and we keep the tradition going. A tradition as old as the game itself, bringing in family after family, right? We need to do that.
And listen, I see, James, your comments about the increasingly huge bags. Those bags aren't the early recruiting cycle bag sizes were much bigger than they are now. A lot of these people have played everything that they could. We did not. And there's not an offer. There's not a number that I've heard from anybody who has an opinion on it that says anything that Oklahoma is not, if not the leader on what we offered. We're not going to throw a $4 million tag out there or anything like that, but nobody was throwing anything over the top with any guarantee, because I think that some of these recruiters and these handlers now, they now see like, hey, listen, we want certain assurances that the stuff is going to actually show up. This money's actually going to show up. And again, there's a lot of these programs who've got people who've bounced and said, hey, listen, I never saw the money that they promised. So we currently don't have that narrative around us. But we did play the game here, and we have a smile on our face with the number that we gave. So we played the NIL game, and if I'm right on Wednesday, then I'll say that we won it too.
Yep. So, I mean, outside of him, you're looking at like Simeon Barrow, which I thought Barrow did go. He visited LSU, and as of right now, he doesn't have anything scheduled for us. But I know that that's something that's being worked on. At least that's been like all the reports I've been hearing and seeing go around. But he is a nice sized dude as well. He's coming in at what is he like 290? He was close to that dollar amount that we need. And you know, we've got people that we've talked to pretty consistently that I feel like if we would have gotten him instead of Dom, I mean, that's not a massive step back. You know, the Barrow kid is he is a baller. He is going to be good. Yeah, I'd be glad to get him, man. Like the one we want Dom, right? Dom is probably he's the biggest fish of them, but I think that the others are some pretty solid fishes. Simeon Barrow Jr. as well as Harmon. Now Harmon out of Michigan State, he's a big dude. Like I think he's about 310 as well. And he graded very well last season. Like very, very well. Like when I looked at his PFF grades, I was like, okay, you're pretty good. You're actually a lot better than I thought you were gonna be. But he's out there as well at the 300 like 10, 15 pound, really good zero technique guy that you need in order to survive the SEC. Right. Our goal is to get we need to have at least 4 dudes over 300 pounds, and right now we've got 3 on the defensive line. Yeah, I think 3.
I think we're a couple people, you know, 1 or 2 breakfasts away from it too.
Yeah. I think that we could. Well, I think that by the time we get through the summer workouts, and go right into fall camp, we should have at least 5. Right. I know that Sears was knocking on the door, and so was Grayson Halton.
G-Baby was
Stone and Jackson are over 300. BV confirmed that, and then of course Dejon Terry, your leader in that room, and so yeah, we just need to get bigger, thicker, stronger. I think we'll be fine.
Yeah,
like
listen, it's the I saw, you know, a question, and let's touch on that, and that was what, you know, the year 3 jump, you know, under Brent Venables, and I mean, guys, we are an experienced offensive line away from talking about what our chances with the national championship is. If we had a returning starting line, then the only question mark is Jackson Arnold, the only one. So, you know, you continue to work on that offensive line, but yeah, I mean, outside of that, I mean, on the defensive side, you return the most returning starters, you know, in the SEC. We are going to walk into the SEC pushing for a top 5 defense. You add a Dom in there and a couple of good injury, tidings, and you're pushing for higher. And it's going to be something to where, again, we're our offense is no slouch either. So don't get it twisted. The offense, because that offensive line is going to surprise the people. People are going to say, "Oh, we saw this coming with Brent Venables because he always does this on defense, right?" Yep. And Brent Venables will be judged. Now, if this defense throws an egg out there, that's a concern. But I just don't see that, especially when I think that the SEC offenses this year, they're not going to be dynamic. There's not going to be a lot of dynamic SEC offenses this year. This is not the year, 4 or 5 years ago when you had, first round draft pick, talent spread throughout. You got a lot of young kids, got a lot of transfers first year in the program. And so, I mean, this defense has a good chance. And like Jay said about, given the raises, you throw a defensive back room that really tightens up that zone coverage and makes makes them work for the ball, like Lou Dort is making folks work on the on the hardwood right now. If you make receivers work like that, they're going to get frustrated, and it's going to be fun.
Oh yeah, that's the best part, man, is getting people to work, and our defense is going to do that. And so that's the good part of bringing in having over having 79% of the production returning and all of these players being ready to step up and grow it. And so, Dominic, if you're watching, if you or your mom's watching, join us. Come on. Come be a Sooner. Be a Sooner. Come join us.
Let's go for
You won't regret it.
number one defense in the SEC is something that we can put our sights on.
Yep, that's our goal. I mean, we beat Texas' best team they've had in like 15 years, and we could have won by a lot more. We were just being, bad. Like, we only gave up 23 offensive points, and we had that silly punt that we gave up for a touchdown. But we gave up 23 offensive points that entire game.
Yep.
I am so excited about the fact that, and let's move on to the next thing though, Coop. What our defense is going to look like, man, going into the SEC. Because there was it was an article that was put out by a local guy. Everybody was piling on them, losing their minds. Good old Barry Trammell. I didn't lose my mind on it because I read the article. It's funny because I put a video out about it. So first off, you had Josh Pate that talked about us after watching the spring game and kind of how he felt. And his vibes are he thinks we're going to be just fine. Barry was a little bit more concerned and thinking that we're not SEC ready. And the premise behind his thought process was that and I'm paraphrasing here, is 17 was the one team that we were built to beat SEC teams, and we fumbled the bag. He's 100% correct there.
Yep.
That was the title year. That was a championship year. That was the first year of the last regime that's just left. And that was that was right after Stoops stepped down. That was the year that we were built to win if we would have had defense that was a little bit better prepared. And so from there, you can read the article, but more so his premise is that Venables has had to start slow, and he's rebuilding everything back up. And as of right now, there's still questions around the trenches, and that's something you can't have questions going into the SEC. I totally get where Barry is coming from in this. I don't think that he's too far-fetched or off base. He's extremely pessimistic. That's the thing, and I think that that's what's frustrating so many people. For me, I don't like that the context behind looking at what's been done is not being paid attention to. You get what I'm saying, Coop? As I'm going through this extremely long monologue here. Venables' defenses takes time to progress. He did the same thing at the last job he had. He did the same thing when he took the job here at Oklahoma. Year one, different though. Year two, we just started whooping tail and lucked out. All the talent was already here. Everybody came back. We won a natty. He goes to Clemson. Okay. Next year, they showed up vast improvement. Year after that, they got one of the top defenses in the country, and they win a natty, right? Now, am I saying that year three here, he's going to win a natty? I can't give you that. I can probably give you that for 25, but I can't give you that for 24. But what I can tell you is, because of the way this natural progression is going, and the fact that the last 3 years he's putting the players that he would like to have on the field out there, the ones he would want to recruit, the ones that he would want to leverage in his system while adding portal guys, which has made it even easier for him to be able to do that and recruits. We're at that point. We are right here. We are right here at the point where we're looking like, hey, we got Pops in the spot. Another Pops in. What's going on?
What's up, Jay? Doing good, sir. Doing good. This man he's becoming a Twitter legend. He's an OU Twitter legend already.
Yeah, him and Boganowski. Yeah. Him and Boganowski's Pop. They're both the legends on there. But no, my point, what I'm stating is that progression is there. We're bringing in transfer guys to do what we need while also bringing in recruits. So they're building the cake with an actual foundation and adding additional ingredients and icing that you need. That's, to me, is the bigger thing to pay attention to that Oklahoma's doing than anything else. And I just don't feel like a lot of the national media or even the local guys that pay attention to everything, I don't think that they're zeroed in on that, which I can't fault him for that. I purposely focused and specialized on Oklahoma football for a reason, right? I'm specialized here, and that's kind of where the difference is. You don't get that with a lot of other local media who's covering a big swath of the state, because it's a lot of information to try to retain. So anyway,
Yeah.
off my soapbox. I think we're SEC ready, and I think we're going to surprise a lot of folks. Coop, I'm going to pass to you so I can get off this soapbox.
Listen, the defensive line is SEC ready. I'm with or without a single additional addition. We are SEC ready on the defense, and I'm very, very confident in that. We've got depth. Depth is what you need. You can't have your number 2 corner or your number 2 safety or your backup linebacker can't be a guy that trots out there and has no business ever being on the field. That's the difference that we have now. As I'm trying to write down like a starting 11, there's at least 4 opportunities where I'm like, yeah, but this guy also. Well, yeah, but this guy also. But this guy also, because I currently don't have Woody Washington or McCullough on here, and there's no PJ or Bowen, Peyton Bowen. So like there's there's 14, and that doesn't count any additions that we potentially have or any of the transfer line guys showing out outside of Woolard, because I have him as a day one starter opposite of PJ. And I think that you give the SEC quite a bit to look at when you throw out, and I'm legitimately saying there's probably 30 guys on this defense who are absolute studs and difference makers, and then there's probably 20 others that are ready to show that they are also that. So I mean, we, like I said a few minutes ago, we are an experienced offensive line away from being a top 10 team, preseason. So I'm okay with everybody sitting back, letting us roll, and just thinking, "Woe is us," because I don't understand how you can watch Texas lose damn near every bit of their production and then say like they're ready, but then we are bringing vast majority of our production back, and we're all of a sudden, not SEC ready. So just remember, when stories hit the old Twitter, the old X, whatever you want to call it, most of the time it is that your little butt will go click and you gain some traffic, and then you react. And so it is a tale as old as time. It is at least 4 or 5 years going right now that if you want a quick boost in your Twitters, say something and leave Oklahoma out. Throw a slide at Oklahoma fans, because they're going to show up and they're going to go crazy, and you're going to be able to hop up the algorithm.
Simple as that. And Pop's chimed in with the great point. Depth is greater than size. Being able to bring guys in ways, balance the scales, and it's what it is, right? You could tell that we didn't go for the microwave approach, right? Yeah. Some other coaches are making those attempts. They're trying, and I'm going to be honest, we have zero idea of how successful you can be by living in the transfer portal only. The only thing I'd say Prime has done so far is he moved from 1 win the year before he got there to the year he got there to go to 4 wins. I mean, going from 1 to 4 is actually a pretty darn big jump. He's 400% better than he was before. Now can he get to a bowl game? And he's seeing yet another exodus. And I told y'all before, right? We did not see very many players besides Harrington and Wagner, and then mostly walk-ons. We didn't really see anybody fully of substance that bounced, right? That's bouncing in the portal. Like now, we've got... Today is the 28th. The portal closes on the 30th. So we got about 2 more days. 2 more days of crosses our fingers and toes and seeing what it looks like. But for the most part, I'm going to be quite honest. I don't believe we're going to see very many people leave for the portal like that, like people are expecting. I do see an exodus in December, though, because that's when the next class is going to be prepared to come in. And I think that players are going to realize that the younger guys have passed me. I'm probably not going to play. And that makes sense, right? I mean, as guys get older, they recognize it. Yeah. So, yeah. For me, I don't anticipate that we'll see anybody else go. I do think that we'll stand put, and then next season, like I said, in December, we'll see more people decide to make their change.
Of consequence too. And again, I'll say, if you're not ready for seeing guys go to the portal that you didn't want to see, Josiah Wagner is the very tip of the iceberg. And again, that's a huge loss. Nobody else is going to be huge. I mean, nobody else is going to be minute, inconsequential losses going forward. It's everybody on this team we want to see on this team. You and I don't want to start naming off. I mean, there's a couple people that are still, just right there just because of what we have coming down the future. But again, in defensive backs, we saw it get really thin last year. And, when you're running out there, guys that people didn't even know who were on our team, that gets people a little nervous. And, running backs, we've been there a few times here recently to where we've got one guy nicked up, one guy with a 1-game suspension, and then now all of a sudden we're throwing out an H-back to start us on the road. That's not going to fly leaving to go to Auburn. That might work against Iowa State. But we need to keep this depth here, and hopefully, again, when we see the amount of depth that's going to be used this year, it keeps people on because they know that there's a chance that they are actually going to get to play.
Yep. And it's going to be fun seeing what this team looks like in the SEC. And as it was mentioned in the comments, we definitely want to make sure we stay under the radar. We don't want the hype. Please think lower of us. I think there was one poll, one list came out that made me laugh, and I was like, yes, I need more of that. Inject that in my veins. They were basically the post-spring game rankings. Where do you guess Oklahoma was ranked, Coop? Give me your best guess.
Let's go with a 12.
Ooh. That sounds funny. Wasn't that low, but you're close. It was number 10. We were ranked number 10. We were behind Florida after our spring game. Florida. I love it.
We'll go ahead and say that there's not a lot of, again, it's people know that there's a little something. You can't watch Burks run out there, keep it on the DL that there were 2 busted coverages, but you can't watch that boy run out there and go crazy and then not go, oh, damn, they've got a chance to be really good. Not to mention the 2 leading receivers from last year weren't on the field. And you've got another guy who probably in Jaden Gibson, who, played better than his stats showed, because he had the touchdown called back. But, it's, guys, listen, I don't know how long we're going to get to walk in the, the discredit OU and the SEC, deal. But I'm calling 5 weeks because I think after week 5, there's going to be a different narrative being started.
Oh, yeah. Right after we take the trip to Auburn, it's done. At that point, it's over. And we won't be able to do anything. Speaking of which, I actually just got my email earlier this week to get road tickets. So got my road tickets secured for Missouri, LSU, and Auburn. I didn't make the list for Ole Miss. And I'm going to probably still try to figure out how to go to that one. If there's any of them I want to go to, it's that one. I don't want to go to Missouri. I'm going to be honest. Columbia, no thank you. I know. But, yes, once we take the Auburn trip, I think that's where everything changes for us, right? I think that's when everybody's like, this is Oklahoma, huh? Okay.
And hopefully Tennessee shows out pretty well in their early games too, because then Tennessee comes to the crib, and when Tennessee comes to the crib, any momentum they have, if OU shows out and does what we think they're going to do, the story is going to be one of 2 ways. Well, Josh Heupel, didn't really have they're not ready. That's young, or let's go with OU is really, really good.
Well, we're not going to be credited. I don't think we should even pretend like, or even ask the question, are we going to be credit for how we perform? We're not. I'm just going to tell y'all now, just act like, just don't even, we're not going to get any credit in any of the games we do in the beginning of the season, which outside of that, I'm very happy that we have our first 3 games that we do have. I do like that we have Houston, Tulane, as well as Temple, because we're going to definitely sharpen the heck out of this iron, boy. We're going to be ready to go. And then next season, we get more home games because of Red River or whatnot. So we get like, I think like a quote unquote extra. Well, we get the 4 home games like we're supposed to instead of only having 3, since, you know, Red River is considered, you know, we're the home team at Red River this year. So that's why we only have 3 home games. The Red River game is considered a home game. So yeah. But yeah, no, I'm excited about us being underrated. So, all right, Coop, what else you got before we wrap this bad boy up?
No, I mean, I'll end it with this way, without going too deep. You guys just always make sure, you know, on the social medias, it's all fun and games. You know, we all know the craziness that's happening right now. Continue to be what you are. You know, don't stoop lower. It's, you know, just continue to take care of what your own, and then let the stories come around. You know, it's been nuts, just watching OU Twitter and the passion and everything like that. And I was really, really, you know, happy with how most of the stuff was handled here over the past couple nights. But yeah, just continue to support the rest of Oklahoma, everybody who is affected. There's probably going to be more. You know, we're in tis the season. And it just seems like every single week we got, you know, more craziness coming in. So just, you know, it's still a line from Gabe and Teddy's show, do what you do best, Oklahoma, take care of each other. And so, yeah, just keep that. And if you want to go after other content creators, it's you know, I don't condone it, but I smile every once in a while.
Same. Same. So we're going to wrap it up. We're going to keep it just under an hour today. Thank y'all for pulling up. Please hit the like button if you're new to the channel. Subscribe. If you are listening to us, rate, review, give us 5 stars. I think we deserve it. Let's go ahead and give us 5 anyway and gift it. And with that, me and Coop will catch all of y'all, I don't know, in the next day or two. Y'all have a good one. Peace.